as the adventures continue in Makerland. That was a rather interesting install. Had to do a high install, then a low install. Looks like we might be leak-free. Let's take a closer look. Not seeing any water droplets forming anywhere, at least not before that valve. That's where we had problems before, right there. So before the valve looks okay. Stack looks okay. We'll wait a few minutes and then see if any drips occur. I'm going to put a piece of paper below. Dry it. I'll dry the area, put a piece of white paper there. We'll know if there's a droplet, or a paper towel, but I think a white piece of paper will be better, so I'll use one of them. There's the second hole. Should be sufficient to allow the valve, big huge valve assembly through the floor, as well as the supply hose for the water. No need to cut a hole in this, thank the Lord. And here's the access port for the first hole. And to that hole, pull a string back, and then pull this cable ever so gently in along with the drain, which should also be able to fit in that hole after this monster head's gone through. So we might just taper on right about there, feed them both in, and then pull them up and deal with the aftermath inside this cabinet once the dishwasher has been well and truly installed, which would be a happy time for me and for Mrs. Maker. Okay, let's make that hole happen. Well, here's the hose installed. The drain is the upper hose and the supply line is the lower hose. It came into the corner rather nicely, which means no drawer modification required. That's a lovely outcome. I should be able to hook up the drain and the supply really easily now. The drain almost makes it to the standing pipe, but not quite. I'm about a meter short, which is no big deal. I have a meter long extension that's a nice lovely blue color. And I have a 2 meter supply pipe to string now. So really it's just a question at this point of hooking them together and pressurizing the system and seeing if it turns on and doesn't leak. The dishwasher installed rather nicely. It's now under the counter. It could go in even further, but that's the countertop, so it's lurking underneath the counter. We can pull it out a little bit so it's flush if we wish. That's looking good. And Mrs. Maker is going to be very happy. I don't know if you can see it way down there. are those two pipes. They go under this part. I was lucky it was unobstructed. And then they pop up here. So I'm going to do a little bit of work in here now to finalize the installation. And then we see whether or not it all works without drips. I'm happy to announce that the horizontal stack is not dripping. There's only one joint that I need to test, which is that last male to male from 3/8 to 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, which has yet to be tested. Fingers crossed. Let's hope it all stays watertight. Okay, so next step you're going to see is all of these hoses hooked up and held up with those pipe clamps. Onwards and upwards. And here we are. Install finished, I hope. The horizontal stack does not seem to be leaking. We shall see. I'm going to put that piece of paper back down underneath it. Do I speak too soon? I think I do. I see a leak where the horizontal stack joins the, or do I? Maybe. Time to put that piece of paper there. But everything else seems okay. We got the high pressure hose connected, drain hose connected. We'll go down into the floor. There's a little bit of extra hose out there because I'm watching the connections. There's one here to watch, that's the drain. There's another one there to watch. That's the original relay for the high pressure. And then there's the high pressure hose connection itself. So if I got a drip there, what I'm going to do is spin that entire horizontal stack to the point where that red shutoff is pointing down, and that should get rid of that little leak, if that is indeed a leak. So what I'm going to do is put that piece of paper there, go walk the dogs, and in an hour see how much water has dripped onto the paper. But so far so good. Let's see what an hour brings. Well, I'm pleased to report that the paper is dry as dry. There is no water droplets on that paper, which means that this joint is no longer wet, which means that the horizontal and the vertical stack are now working correctly. We have an energized system, pressurized. The drain is installed. The high loop is installed, and it just disappears into the floor. There's a little bit of hose management to perform, but that's easily done. And now I'm just going to put everything back together. And the next thing you're going to see is the completed install. Okay, here's the hose neatened install. We have the relay there. Water's energized. The hoses are extremely rigid. Water feed, that is, coming off there. We can shut that off at any time if we need to do some service or move the dishwasher, which I hope I never have to do. There's the high loop, goes right up to the countertop and then drops in to this P-trap, which is looking reasonably good. We're at an angle. There's a positive angle there, so it'll drain into that drain. That's also looking just fine. And I'm at a point now where I'm going to put the shelf back in and the doors back on and show you what this looks like when the kitchen is back together. And there we are. The dishwasher has been installed, and it had a successful test run with no leaks, no problems with water supply, no problems with the drain. It fits nicely under the counter. You can see it doesn't project out at all. That's good. Looks nice and integrates well with the other appliances in the kitchen. The drawers are back in, no modifications necessary there. Cabinet doors are back in. These are delicate. Boy, have they ever been abused over the last 20 years or whatever. The hinges are a mess. The mounts on the hinges are even more of a mess. I had to rebuild a couple of them. Here's the hosing. We got our high loop there going into a P-trap. And there's the hoses disappearing into that hole and then reappearing over here, fitting into the bottom of this beautiful Siemens. Shelves back in. Didn't lose any shelf space particularly, and also didn't need to modify that shelf, which is nice. Looking on this side, you'll see that the sink is looking normal. And here's the other sink, double sink of course. That T-joint there rebuilt. We got a nice angle on that long, it's about 3 feet, pipe that's coming off of that dishwasher. I had to exchange the hot and cold. I don't know if I ever told you that, but it was hosed up backwards. And then cut out the water filter and just fed cold water directly off this to this little faucet here, so you guys can cold and then hot and cold working correctly. So that's all great. Cabinet doors look fine, as fine as they're going to be. And there's the stove that it's supposed to be coordinating with. So as you can see, everything is kind of black and steel in this kitchen. That's good. And that's how it looks now. And this dishwasher coordinates with our fridge. Same model family, same kind of look. So that's why we got it. And it's coordinating well with everything else. Now Mrs. Maker can get all those pots below. She's been dying to do that. And tomorrow we put in that big black cooktop. It's the same width as the oven. And then we can stop cooking our meals on the camp stove. Because this cooktop stopped working. And it's the wrong size. So tomorrow you'll have a even more interesting looking kitchen. As the adventures continue in Makerland. That was a rather interesting install. Had to do a high install, then a low install. Extend the hoses. Kind of interesting, but in the end, I hope that everybody agrees with me when I say that that dishwasher looks like that little alcove was made for it. When it wasn't, it was actually for a fridge, a mini fridge originally, but now it's a dishwasher, and I'm pretty happy. So that concludes the dishwasher project. Interesting, fun. Not the first dishwasher I've ever done, but the first like this. And learned a couple things, and I hope you did too. So that's it for now. Take care, and keep making. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, giving me a like, and leaving me a comment. I really enjoy making these videos, and I want to know from you how I can make them better. The whole point of these videos is to demonstrate that if I can do something, you can do it too. Well, that's it for now. So long, and remember, keep making.